Very good. All right, Mr. Damien, thank you for joining us again.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Absolutely.
Well, pleasure to be here. Yes.
I know. I feel like we're it was so good the first time, we just had to redo it, and relive it. So we had some technical difficulties. We did an interview, 9-10 o'clock last night and ran into some microphone trouble. So we have that accounted for. And, I look forward to having another engaging discussion. Can you just on a high level tell us what PeopleWave is and, kind of your process to founding a company and the value that you're creating on the blockchain?
Sure, I'd love to. PeopleWave, at the heart of it, is a HR tech company that's really out to disrupt and improve people management and HR. I guess I need to tell a very personal story, which is how I founded the business back in January 2017. For 25 years, I've spent a lot of time doing digital data and marketing, and I've held many high-level digital transformation roles. I held regional marketing director and CMO roles, but my last job was as a global head of digital at a large bank. And unfortunately, no matter how good things go, always difficult things happen, and I was actually laid off and made redundant. So my role was no longer needed at the company. And I was angry and frustrated, and it was a very kind of, horrible experience. And what I wanted to do is actually take my frustration with that whole process of being laid off and losing my job, and what I knew about digital data and digital transformation, and apply that to a company that wanted to make work fair. I came to the belief that big companies don't treat people particularly fairly, that the decisions made around who stays, who should go, who is good performers, who's a bad performer, are not based on data or transparency. They're based on, who you like or other favoritism biases. So PeopleWave was formed with a very simple mission: to make work fair and to put people first. We started off actually building a HR software, cloud-based software that looks at onboarding of new companies, and we have a tool called the First 100 Days. And then we looked at reinventing performance reviews, which are a terrible, terrible process. Mm-hmm. So we've reinvented performance reviews into monthly algorithm-based processes that looks at not just whether you're delivering in the job, but also the strength of your relationships and your competencies, your skills, hard and soft skills, as well as whether you're meeting goals. So that's great. And for the last year and a half, we've been deploying our software solutions to over 400 customers. Nice. And we realized that we generate an enormous amount of data on performance reviews and onboarding. And we realized that all this data could actually nicely evolve to the blockchain. So that's now why we're doing a ICO to raise working capital to fund what we call Wavebase, which is our recruitment solution, which allows you to take and search. The easiest way to think about that is we're the Google for recruitment.
Mm-hmm. Traditional performance management emerged in the 1950s and hasn't changed much since. Research has shown that 95% of managers aren't satisfied with their performance management processes. Here's why. In most companies, reviews are only done once or twice every year. Most of us can't recall something that happened last month, let alone providing feedback on performance from a year ago. Doing performance review is painfully long and tedious. In fact, many employees think that the process interferes with their productivity. Managers hold all the power in the traditional performance appraisal, which potentially leads to bias or inconsistent ratings across the organization. For decades now, the annual performance review process has been the bane of many organizations and their HR departments. The time has come to move forward to a new era of performance appraisal. Introducing PerformanceWave, the world's first data-driven performance tool that measures insights that matter. Switch from annual appraisal to an ongoing one so you can provide employees with feedback as it occurs, not once a year. With PerformanceWave, employees can now receive feedback not only from their managers, but also coworkers, customers, and everyone they work closely with. Employees can now do their review anywhere, anytime, on their mobile or desktop, and it takes less than 5 minutes to complete. For the first time ever, managers have access to real-time data to help identify high performers and opportunities for improvement. PerformanceWave puts people first in people management.
Instead of searching just random job descriptions or CVs, you're actually searching for relevant performance information on individuals, which will give you a stack rank from, say, the best, the most relevant person, all the way through to maybe the top 20, top 50, or top 100.
Nice.
And that's why we're doing this ICO, working capital to this amazing ICO to build these amazing products in the blockchain.
And in talking with you last night, I think one of the things I was enlightened to is the fact that, you know, you guys have a legitimate business model that's based on, not number one, empowering the end user, the customer, and also the service providers, the big companies, the big clients. And we talked about the struggles in HR. You know, you talked about you being laid off. I had a similar situation where I was working for a big company, and you know, things didn't go well. And now I'm on to bigger and better ventures. And can you talk a little bit about how you're building your platform to incorporate, number one, trust, transparency, and also empowerment for all the stakeholders?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Wavebase was built or being built by PeopleWave to really focus on one key thing. How do we give employees power over their own data? One of the biggest challenges is when you leave a company, you have no record of your performance. You know, it's sitting in somebody's head, or, you know, it's on a piece of paper somewhere and it's lost. But the reality is, you know, when a new employer is looking to get a sense of your performance, you know, so many people lie or embellish their accomplishments and so on. So we realized there's a way of actually giving employees power over their own data to tell their own story, but also allowing different stakeholders, such as companies that want to hire you, recruiters and so on, to actually look at performance data, your strength of your relationships, your competencies, your hard and soft skills, and also how well you did in certain projects in the role, to get a sense of whether you'd be relevant for that role or not. And there's multiple stakeholders here. First of all, we reward individuals or employees for uploading verified information. They get PeopleWave tokens for that, and they can spend those tokens actually to craft their own story. If there's an amazing job opportunity they want to have, they can actually spend PeopleWave tokens, a lot like how Google does their search-based system. You spend a few tokens to actually be listed at the very top of search results.
Wow.
Now, of course, it has to be relevant, but it also allows you to craft your story. Maybe you want to emphasize things like your relationships, or talk about your particular skills in relation to the job that's being offered. For companies, every company that uses PeopleWave's traditional SaaS software automatically moves their employees' data over to the Wave-based blockchain solution. We also remunerate companies in terms of PeopleWave tokens every time they do that. We're also pursuing significant deals with large software companies and HR tech companies to take their data across the thousands and millions of employees that are using them and equalize them in an apples-to-apples way with PeopleWave software.
Nice.
And of course, third and finally, we're looking for third parties. Those could be companies like LinkedIn or Facebook or other service providers who actually access to large pools of information. And it really brings it together and allows us to be the one global HR solution.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Just to hear that you guys are already partnering and working with some of the big names in the business and building that into your status quo, your de facto business model, I think is very crucial. I think all too often you hear about these blockchain companies, you know, kind of as the underdog, you know, coming in trying to do everything, and they think that's going to work, when in actuality, the most successful companies, especially that scale, are those that make their competitors their clients. And then we talk about this B2B2C model. Can you talk about a little how those conversations have been going, and how you see, you know, maybe the roadmap or the process building out as you you know, build your business model through?
Sure, happy to. Well, where we are is we've actually got over 400 customers using our platform today. Many of them are SMEs, so small and medium-sized enterprises, and we're speaking to more and more enterprises every day. When we're talking to HR providers, they're a combination of people, from payroll solution providers to core what's called HRIS, which is the larger players that actually keep employee data and do performance reviews and so on. Our roadmap looks very simple. We're actually getting as many customers as possible. So in the next few months, we should have over 1,100 customers using our platform. And we actually plan to actually have an exponential J-curve with the customers who are signing up over the next few years. Wow. Within an 18-month period, we're looking to sign up over 1 million registered employees under the Wave-based solution. And we're going to do that by pursuing significant partnerships. Now, I can't get into all the partnerships until we've signed MOUs yet, but look out for some of those announcements in the next few weeks.
That's amazing. That's very, very exciting. One of the I guess questions I want to address that I know my community members will have when we look at the big data space and the blockchain and also social ramifications for privacy of the end user. I think right now China has implemented a social credit score that's adversely affecting some of the participants of that digital economy. Can you speak to how you guys will be maintaining the integrity and, still instilling that trust and that empowerment to the end users and the data holders?
You're right. It's all about trust and empowerment. And again, our whole philosophy and purpose is to make work fair through data and transparency. So there's two key ways to answer that question. First of all, the European Union has just launched a very strict privacy and consumer protection, which is called GDPR. So PeopleWave has been and will continue to be GDPR compliant. So when handling employee data, it's extremely sensitive, and we're making sure that no matter which country in the world you're working with us on, we're compliant with those regulations. Number two, really critical, employees own their own data. There's been a lot of, brouhaha with Facebook and doing kind of horrible things with the people's data. We're taking the opposite approach. So we're allowing employees to fundamentally be at the heart of this, and they own their own information.
Nice.
Now, we often get questions about, well, maybe I've had a bad relationship with a manager, or I had a bad performance review of this particular company. Maybe there's a bad culture fit. Well, the reality is we all have problems, but everyone's got their own unique story. And here's where some of the tokenomics come into play. So, for example, if you're looking to be at the very top of the listing, we generally have a number of slots compared to any one job you're looking for. So if it's an amazing job like being, I don't know, a sales director at Google, and you really, really want that job, you can pay some, if you have those kind of skills, you can pay some PeopleWave tokens to be listed at the very top of those search results. Now, it doesn't mean you are necessarily the best candidate, but you might have a very good story. You could actually upweight things like your relationships and how strong those relationships are. Maybe you've got amazing business development or account management skills, and you really want to put that front and center. And maybe you can also downweight the fact that you might have had an issue with a manager, or maybe had a kind of bit of a down score in a particular month. So those things matter less when you present the full, true, and verified history.
That's something I wanted to dig deep into. This is, I think, a great innovation that you're implementing into your business and allowing users to use the token to essentially acquire more exposure on the network. This is basically how Google works and AdSense and McDonald's and Starbucks, so to speak. This is a real estate play to where digital real estate exposure, accessibility, you're monetizing that, incorporating into your blockchain, your utility token, and again, allowing users to essentially promote themselves above the status quo. You're allowing them to access the algorithm, which I think is very, very, it's pretty cool. You see all too often, especially in Facebook, we don't even have the power to, access our own market anymore. My post, for example, Facebook, I have 10,000 followers, but my post is, inundated with all of these spam news feeds that people really don't even want access to. And I have no way to promote that, organically on top of that feed. So just to see that you actually taking the time to understand that as a pain point, and then again, you're offering a solution in a digital interface, I think is very encouraging and very, very insightful.
Thank you very much. And I think, just explaining the tokenomics a little bit, and you're right. I mean, it's not a lot of people necessarily think about this, but, the tokenomics, why will the token rise? Why should I buy PWV tokens? And really, the PWV tokens represent the market. So in between two opposing forces that are going to push the price up. So on one hand, you've got job seekers who will get some PeopleWave tokens, and we've limited the supply to only 1.2 billion. Now, of course, there's over 3.5 billion employees out there in the world. So, and that number's going up and up every day. So we have a finite quantity of tokens out there. Number two, you acquire tokens every time you do something. So I upload verified information. Maybe you've got a past performance review. Maybe I'm uploading some PeopleWave data out of our performance review software. I spend those tokens as a job seeker to be listed at the very top of search results for relevant jobs that I'm very, very interested in. And the number of tokens will vary depending on how niche that opportunity is or how much demand there is of the opportunity. And as you rightly pointed out, it's exactly how Google works. And that's how they become a multi-billion-dollar business. On the other side, you have companies. Now, for companies to hire an individual, what it normally takes is about 25% of their annual salary to go through a recruiter. Now, if you're talking about someone earning $50K or $100,000 a year, that's like $12,500, $25,000 just to hire somebody, let alone the productivity costs.
Right. Wow.
So if you look at it, just those companies will then, instead of actually going through recruiters, be working to buy on a pay-per-use or a subscription model access to a set of search results. So you pay to do a search for one particular role, or you pay on a subscription basis, monthly or annually, through PeopleWave tokens to have access to multiple searches. And of course, there's another use case which is really about background checks. So pre-employment screening or doing a reference check, terrible process today, full of lies and full of inaccurate information. What we do is actually allow companies to actually search on that performance data. And again, every time they do that, and the deeper they want to dig, there's obviously PeopleWave tokens they would spend to do that. On the other side, the candidate can spend PeopleWave tokens to present their story in the best possible way. So in between those two forces of job seekers looking to actually get a great job, employers actually trying to get great candidates, those tokens are in limited supply, price goes up.
Nice. Yeah, that's usually how it works when something is in a set finite supply, and as you increase demand, that's, you know, you essentially validate the value that that incremental unit is providing, and people are willing to, you know, pay more to access that value. Can you talk a little bit, now that we're talking about the token, can you talk a little bit about the ICO? You know, I know we're on a quick turnaround here, so I will get this information out to the community as soon as possible. As soon as we get done, I'm chopping it up and getting it out there. But can you talk about the ICO and maybe how that process is going for you? I know you said you actually had some capital come in already, so that's pretty exciting. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not I guess a business plan ICO. So it's a real business. In 2017, we have already raised $700,000 USD in seed. During our ICO period, we've actually closed in May over $2 million in pre-sale. Now we're in the public ICO. We've actually launched on the Kryptos exchange with Coin. So that's gone well so far. So we're only a couple of days in, with only a couple of days left. It was only really a short 1 week turnaround for phase one there. So you can actually buy PeopleWave tokens there. We sold out quite a significant batch of the first batch in 24 hours. There's still a few days left to actually grab those tokens. We have a very generous 75% bonus on those tokens for the next couple of days. And we close the sale, I think, on the 6th. So 6th of June. Yeah. So now is the right time. Get in at Kryptos. Make sure you KYC, buy the tokens while you can. 75% bonus.
Absolutely. Nice. And is there anything else, any other information, tidbits you'd like to share, you know, for the listeners out there interested in PeopleWave?
Well, if you're sitting on the fence, think about where those big HR and big software companies are going. The Googles, the LinkedIns, the Salesforces, the Oracles, the SAPs. They've dominated sales and dominated things like financial data. The only next big place they can go is employee data. So that's the only place they've got left. Yeah. So, and what opportunities are there? PeopleWave is really the big opportunity in the HR space. Right. We are the first and best in the blockchain. We're not about putting CVs on the blockchain. We're not about kind of endorsing one set of skills to doing something niche. We're about putting performance data in the blockchain and making that relevant and useful and verified, obviously. So, you know, if you're sitting on the fence, it's the next big opportunity. We have a view over the next kind of 5 to 7 years to either be the 900-pound gorilla or get acquired by one of those guys. So there's definitely a return in the future.
That's awesome. And, you know, just in looking in the industry in general, I know Microsoft actually bought LinkedIn a couple years ago for, you know, I think $1 billion on the head. And then they just basically tried to turn it into Facebook. And it's like, it doesn't help the problem. These companies are just more or less mimicking each other. Nobody's really innovating. Nobody's offering any new value. Nobody's working directly with these big enterprise platforms to empower the end user. And I think that's what you guys are doing from the beginning. So I wish you the best of success on your journey, and I will definitely keep an eye out for it. And if there's anything I can do in the future, I know we have a vast community, 25,000 Facebook members, about 40,000 on YouTube, and a lot of HR, a lot of enterprise, a lot of SMEs in there. So, maybe one day if we wanted to do an AMA or just bring you on after the fact when you guys actually launch to show the beta version, I think that would be really cool as well.
Well, we'd love to get the community involved, actually. So anyone who wants to actually sign up to Wavebase, I'm sure we can figure out a deal to be sure they get some tokens. We're looking for as many kind of pilot users and people to actually share their performance data and get involved as possible. We're speaking to some communities here in Asia and China. With a bit of luck, we should be able to announce in a space of time that we have potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of users in the system. But you know what? Let's start here with the crypto community. So anyone wants to get involved, happy to keep talking and see where we end up.
Awesome. Good deal, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the second opportunity, to speak with you. I know your time is valuable, and I think it's 8 or 9 p.m. over there in Singapore now. So I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Take it easy. Good luck with the project.
Will do. Thanks. Bye.